students, we were reading the chapter The Making of a Scientist. First part I had completed in the previous video. There we read about the scientist Richard Abbott, who was interested in scientific experiments, and when he was in kindergarten he started with the butterflies collection. He did a lot of work with other things, and soon he collected all 25 species of butterflies which were found around his hometown. He was only in the second grade at that time. It was about the study of the migration of butterflies, monarch butterflies. At last we read that he started losing interest in doing that because he was not getting much feedback of all his work. Even when he raised thousands of butterflies in the basement of his home and he continued his experiments, but as this work was very tedious and he was not getting much feedback, he said he was losing interest in tagging butterflies. Now let's move to the next part. Then in 7th grade he got a hint of what real science is when he entered a county science fair. He entered when he was in 7th grade. He took entry in the science fair, county science fair, but he lost. He did not win. It was really a sad feeling to sit there and not get anything while everybody else had won something, he said. His entry was slides of frog tissues. In that science fair, what he showed, the frog tissues in the slides, which he showed under a microscope. He realized the winners had tried to do some real experiments, not simply making a neat display. So, already the competitive spirit that drives Richard Abbott was appearing, means he was a competitive in his nature, that was appearing in him, the competitive spirit. He says, I knew that for the next year's fair I would have to do a real experiment. So, for next year's science fair, he says he had to do some real experiment. The subject I knew most was the insect. I had been doing in the past several years. So, that subject he knew most because he had been working on that subject for last few years. So, he wrote to Dr. Urquhart for ideas, and back came a stack of suggestions for experiments. So many suggestions Dr. Urquhart gave him to do experiments. This kept Abbott busy all through high school and led to prize projects in the county and international science fairs. So, using those ideas given by Dr. Urquhart, he experimented many more during all his high school. Then many projects won the prizes in county fair and even international science fairs. For his 8th grade project, when he was in 8th grade, in his project, Abbott tried to find the cause of a viral disease that kills nearly all monarch caterpillars every few years. Now, this was his project next year, finding the cause of a viral disease in monarch caterpillars. Abbott thought the disease might be carried by a beetle. It was his idea. So, he tried raising caterpillars in the presence of beetles. I didn't get any real results, he said, but I went ahead and showed that I had tried the experiment. And this time I won, as it was a real experiment with some good reasons. So, this project also won prize for him. The next year his science fair project was testing the theory that viceroy butterflies copy monarchs. This was his next year's project, that viceroy butterflies copy monarch butterflies. The theory was that viceroys look like monarchs because monarchs don't taste good to birds. You can see in the picture of both type of butterflies, monarch and viceroy. The upper one is monarch and the below is viceroy. So the theory he was experiment ki viceroys copy the monarch butterflies because monarch do not taste good to birds. Viceroys on the other hand do taste good to birds. So the more they look like monarchs, the less likely they are to become a bird's dinner. So they copy monarchs so that birds do not eat them. Abbott's project was to see whether in fact birds would eat monarchs. This was his project, whether the birds would eat monarchs. He found that a sterling, a sterling is a kind of bird. He found about a sterling that it would not eat ordinary bird food. It would eat all the monarchs it could get. Albright said later, research by the other people showed that viceroy probably do copy the monarch. He found that also other people also did some research and found in fact viceroy butterflies copy the monarch. This project was placed first in the zoology division in the zoology section. It got the first prize and overall it got the third in the county science fair. In his second year in the high school, Richard Albright began the research that led to his discovery of an unknown insect hormone. So he started doing research about some unknown insect hormone. Indirectly, it also led to his new theory on the life of cells. Later on, the theory of cells which he gave indirectly started with this discovery of insect hormone. The question he tried to answer was simple. What is the purpose of the 12 tiny gold spots on a monarch pupa? On the pupa of monarch butterfly, there are 12 golden spots are found. So, what is the purpose of these golden spots? That was the question he tried to answer. Everyone assumed that the spots were just ornamental, just for show off purpose, Albright said. But Dr. Urquhart didn't believe it. To find the answer, Albright and another excellent science student, first they had to build a device that showed that the spots were producing a hormone necessary for the butterfly's full development. With the help of a device they made, they tried to show that it was producing a necessary hormone for butterfly's development. This project again won Albright first place in the county fair and entry into the international science and engineering fair. He got entry into the international science fair. There he won third place for zoology again, and he also got a chance to work during the summer at the entomology laboratory of the Walter Reed Army Institute of Research. So, because of this project work, he got entry, he got a chance to work in the laboratory of Walter Reed Army Institute of Research. As a high school junior, Richard Albright continues his advanced experiments on the monarch pupa. That year, his project won first place at the international science fair and gave him another chance to work in the army laboratory during the summer. In his senior year, he went a step further. He grew cells from a monarch's wing in a culture and showed that the cells would divide and develop into normal butterfly wings scales only if they were fed the hormone from the gold spots. Now, moving further into his project and research, he developed the cells from the monarch's wings in a culture. Culture means tissue culture like sericulture. So, culture here is a process of experiments. Tissue culture you might have heard. So he developed the cells and he showed that these cells will develop in a normal butterfly wings when they are fed with the hormone from those gold spots of monarch pupa. That project won first place for the zoology in the international fair, and he spent the summer after graduation doing further work at the army laboratory and at the laboratory of US Department of Agriculture also. The next summer, after his freshman year at Harvard University, Everett went back to the laboratory of Department of Agriculture and did more work on the hormone from the gold spots. Using the laboratory's sophisticated instruments, he was able to identify the hormone's chemical structure. Now he got all the devices, instruments needed, so he was able to find the chemical structure of the hormone. When he saw those photos, a year and a half later, during his junior year in the university, Everett got the idea for his new theory about cell life. It came while he was looking at X-ray photo of the chemical structure of a hormone. So, when one day he was looking at the X-ray photos of chemical hormone, that new thing he observed. When he saw those photos, Everett didn't shout Eureka or even I've got it, though he got it. Eureka means excitement of finding something, but he did not shout. But he believed that along with his findings about the insect hormones, the photos gave him the answer to one of biology's puzzles: how the cell can read the blueprint of its DNA. It was a puzzle of biology till that time. So he thought it could give the answer. DNA is a substance in the nucleus of a cell that controls heredity. You must have read about it in your biology subject. And DNA determines the form and function of the cell. So thus DNA is the blueprint for life. So he found this answer how actually it works in the cell. Everett and his college roommate James R. Wrong worked all that night drawing pictures and constructing plastic models of molecules to show how it could happen. Together they later wrote the paper that explained the theory, the same paper which theory was published in the magazine. Surprising no one who knew him, Richard Everett graduated from Harvard with highest honors. Nobody was surprised when he graduated with highest marks, second in his class of 1510. Everett went on to become a graduate student researcher at Harvard Medical School. Then there he began doing experiment to test his theory. If the theory proves correct, it will be a big step forward towards understanding the process of life. He is still there, he is still working, doing his experiments. At last I will show you where he is these days and how he looks. So about this theory, if it proves correct, it will be a big step towards understanding the process of life. It might also lead to new ideas for preventing some types of cancer and other diseases. All of this is possible because of Everett's scientific curiosity. His high school research into the purpose of the spots of on a monarch pupa eventually led him to his theory about cell life. Richard Everett has been interested in the science since he first began collecting butterflies, but not so deeply that he hasn't time for other interests. He was active in many other things also other than these science experiments. Everett also became a champion debater and public speaker and a good canoeist. Canoe you must know, canoe is a kind of a small boat. So an expert canoeist and all around outdoor person. He is also an expert photographer, particularly of nature and scientific exhibits. In high school, Richard Everett was a straight A student. good student because learning was easy. He turned a lot of his energy towards debating and model United Nations clubs. He was modeling for United Nations clubs also. He also found someone to admire, Richard A. Wearer, his social studies teacher and advisor to both clubs. Mr. Wearer was the perfect person for me then. He opened my mind to new ideas, Bright said about his professor. Teacher. And what teacher says, Richard would always give his extra effort, Mr. Wearer said. What pleased me was, here was the person who put in 3 or 4 hours at night doing debate research, besides doing all his research with butterflies and his other interests. Richard was competitive, Mr. Wearer continues about him, but not in a bad sense. He was a good competitor. He explained that Richard was not interested in winning for winning's sake or winning to get a prize. No, rather he was winning because he wanted to do the best job he could for the right reasons. He wants to be the best. That was the key or to the success, and that is one of the ingredients in making of a scientist. This is one key point in making of a scientist. Means these things are necessary in the making of a scientist. Start with a first rate mind and curiosity and mix in the will to win for the right reasons, and Albright has these qualities, starting with a first rate mind, then using your curiosity and using your will for winning for the good reasons. So Albright has all these qualities. From the time that book, The Travels of Monarch X, opened the world of science to him, Richard Albright has never lost his scientific curiosities. That's how he became a scientist. So it was the making of a scientist. Now I show you, this is Richard H. Albright. Where is he now? He is an American molecular biologist. He is the Board of Governors Professor of Chemistry and Chemical Biology at Rutgers University, and he is also Laboratory Director at the Waksman Institute of Microbiology in USA. He is of 61 years. Presently, he is still working and doing research work there. So, with this, the chapter completes, and we will be doing the question answer next. Okay, that's all for now. Thank you. Bye bye.